Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo.
Quero o Benfica intimidar o adversário. Quero o manto sagrado entrar com vocês em qualquer estádio. E estádios, pá! É isso que eu quero!
What's going on, everybody? What's happening, everybody? Thank you for joining us on this. I don't know whether to be happy, to be sad, to be mad, to be angry. But here we are. With me, as always, Cristiano Oliveira. What's happening?
I wish I could come in with so much energy and happiness. Just seemed like for a second from you. I have today is just it's not a good day, but nonetheless we're here, Alfredo. Thank you for welcoming me once again to the podcast. It is absolute agony to come and do this, but again, thank you for it. And here we are. Welcome to the Freddies. Smash the like button, my friends. Share your misery with us. Um, it's gonna be interesting. So
It's going to be very interesting. Dave De Oliveira is not here with us. He's still
abraço, Dave.
still on international break. But here we are.
It's too
On,
bad Benfica's not on international break. I mean, I wish they still were.
should have been international break since after the World Cup, after the clubs World Cup. That's what they should have been. Yeah, but what's going on, Freddy's? Thank you for joining us on this delicate night, I should say. Um, yeah, as you guys have heard, and Lage is fired. Ricard has
Oh,
stated
Dave is in the chat. Alfredo, I'm sorry, Dave.
lives in it.
He's on international break, but he's in the chat. He says emergency therapy session. Carrega, Dave. So
Yeah, it was just look. I think that yeah, there's kind of mixed feelings here, right? Because after the miserable Friday and then today, the humiliation that we suffered today, and I think kind of things took its natural course, right? And obviously, this being an election year and us just being 40 days from election, I don't think a move is made this fast. If elections weren't on the horizon, I think that Lage gets a little bit more of a grace period now. But I think that at the end of the day, Rui Costa did what he needed to do. Because at the end of the day, as he mentioned in his presser, and I was just watching a little bit of his presser, that he's in charge of Benfica to make decisions, and that benefit the club, that are for the club, that puts the club in the best place possible, right? So I think that the decision is to you gotta cut ties with Lage. Team hasn't been playing well. Team played maybe a good game or a good most game against Fenerbahce at home, but the rest of the games have been pretty inconsistent. We haven't seen the talent and the ability of the players that we bought. And look, I think that this year it's different, right? Because you look at Jurasek and other players that we bought in the past and said, how the hell did Benfica go and get this guy? But I mean, we saw Sudakov play today, and I liked them for those first 30 minutes in which Benfica was dominating. Dedic has been a great surprise. Baranechea, he's been what he's been. I mean, there's some things that we could point out in his game. Rios, there's also some things that we could point out in his game, but at the end of the day, I think that Rio is really the muscle that you need in that midfield. He's not the guy that's going to create. It's not the guy with the vision. It's not the guy that's going to make vertical passes, and that's just fine. You got to understand it for what it is. Rio is not going to win you games, but yeah, and then it hasn't been like other years. I think that we bought quality players. We just haven't been able to see that quality kind of transcend to the pitch on match days. And I think that's my biggest worry. And you guys have heard me speak here in terms of that I was very very worried about Lage's limitations, and certainly they're on full display. And I think that this was the end of the line. I think that when we initially hired Lage, I thought the timing for Lage was right. He was a guy that knows the house. He's a guy that knows the ins and outs of the club. And at the time that we needed to get somebody to really get this team going after the Schmidt debacle, I thought that Lage was the right guy. Wasn't my choice, obviously, but I do understand the timing and the reasons behind it. And look, certainly, it was the right choice. Now, I never thought that Lage was going to be a long-term solution for Benfica, but Rui decided to give him another season to prove himself, and I think that Lage has really shown the limitations. Um, he has had limitations at the clubs that he's gone to. Was at Wolves, was at Botafogo, and never ended well for him because he's a guy that has limitations for as much as other things that he has. He prepares games well, but he's not a guy that makes good substitutions. He can't really read the game while the game is going on, and I think those are some of the flaws. And I think for a team like Benfica, I think you need a guy that has a little bit more of a coaching acumen, tactical acumen, that's able to really look at things and make the changes that are need to be made, and get really the players to play to their potential. And we just haven't seen that from Lage. So I think this end of the line was something that we saw on the horizon, and certainly it's the natural progression of things, albeit it's a shame that has to be at the cost of poor performances, at the cost of bad results against teams that we should have clearly won the games. And that's what it is. Cristiano, I'll turn it over to you, man. I've done a lot of.
Qu'est-ce que eu diga, bro? Tu já disseste tudo. I mean, the only thing I think I throw in there is if you guys paid attention to anything I say on this podcast, which is a lot of dumb shit, I did tell you guys a few weeks ago that there was already an agreement in place with Benfica and Jose Mourinho. So none of this surprises me. I've been telling Hugo and everybody that I talk to on a daily basis that this is just a matter of time. They're just waiting for Lage to slip up. Now, none of us, even the biggest hardcore Bruno Lage fan, would tell you, or not hardcore fan, but haters, I should say, would tell you that they expected it to be against 10 men at home, against the 10 men Santa Clara. And then again at the side to lose against Quarabag, making their Champions League debut, which is absolutely pathetic. And look, I'm gonna take a little bit of a different road here than you are, right? Just because a lot of times I like to be different. And the one thing here is you could accuse me of being whatever you want to be, insult me all you want. At the end of the day, I'm giving you my honest opinion, which is in no way, shape, or form am I defending Bruno Lage, right? Because he has not done a good job, and especially in these last two games. And obviously, you could go back and talk about some of the other performances against Alberca and Estrela Madura and whatnot. That Benfica has not played up to their standards, and I think we all agree on that. But all that being said, guys, and trust me, me and Hugo Alfredo, we've been going back and forth on this, right? And I think he's just a hard-headed dude that he doesn't understand my point. And my question to him, and I'll pose it to you guys as well, is, I mean, don't you guys think that in spite of Bruno Lage's limitations, that this roster, this team, has the obligation to beat a Santa Clara at home playing with 10 men, even if my mother were the coach? I mean, it's just, I think it's easy to sit here and point the finger at managers because obviously somebody has to pay the piper. But I mean, shouldn't these players take a little bit of a responsibility, accountability? Why is it these guys aren't able to perform to the best of their abilities? Is it because they don't care? Or is it because some of these guys that you fans, a lot of you fans, who criticize me often because I go on Twitter and I'll give my 2 cents and I come on here and I give my 2 cents regarding some players that all you guys idolize and you make average and mediocre superstars at Benfica. Benfica used to have the tendency of doing that, right? So how about it all being a combination of those three things? Players starting what they are, players don't care, the manager sucks. But I just feel like these players should be able to perform better. Today's Quarabog is a little bit different. They never quit. They came to play. They were down 2-0, and they never quit. You could tell it was a team that read and studied our team, and whoever does the video for them studied and watched as well and knew that we had some, how you guys say it in Portuguese, fragilidades, right? And they just kept chopping at it, chopping at it. And eventually, obviously, they chopped at it and they got 3 points, which none of us ever expected that. But these players at home, there is absolutely no excuse to draw a game against a 10-man Santa Clara. And to me, it's not even a draw. It's the way that we played. We weren't even creating opportunities. It just, this team has been absolutely pathetic. And that's from the coach to the players to everybody included, guys. And again, I'm not defending anybody, but I just think that we need to look at things for what they really are instead of just ignoring, and finger pointing at what we don't like. And if we like this guy, we defend him. If we don't like, but at the end of the day, it's just as a whole, it's been absolutely pathetic.
Yeah. No, look, yeah, and you got to wonder, right? Because you bring up an interesting point, right? Are these players? It can't all be Lage's fault, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, these players are guys that are experienced. Most of these guys are experienced that have played at big clubs, and certainly got to wonder, was this something that was premeditated, and we don't know. I mean, there was a
I don't think so,
discussion
Fredo.
between
I don't
Lage
think so.
and Otamendi at the end of the game. Record is reporting that Lage wanted to leave the field before the team, and I think that was the whole argument. But certainly, look, I don't know.
But
It's
Alfredo,
just you don't know what to expect.
I can't criticize Alfredo because I told a couple people that, like, you knew what was going to come down. You knew what was going to rain down on the players and the coach, right? Everybody knew, no? I did. And so I questioned, I'm like, why is he even standing in the middle of the field? And now you brought up a good point. Maybe Otamendi told him we all have to take responsibility, coach included. Let's go, get on the field. I just don't think it's premeditated, Alfredo. That I don't agree with. I don't think the team looked great for 30 minutes and then remembered all of a sudden, like, oh shit, we hate the coach, guys. You know what I mean? I don't think I don't think it goes down that road, but I do agree that at the end of the game, maybe Otamendi to tell him, I have to be here, you have to be here. I'm tired of taking the bullet for the team, and you're the responsible one, whether right or wrong, but maybe that's the decision they made. Now, I did question why the hell was Lage in the middle of the field. I mean, after such an embarrassing performance, he should have been the first one down the tunnel and get away from it. But apparently they thought different.
Yeah. So yeah. So if you are joining us now, and if you haven't heard, Lage has been fired, and Rui Costa has said that there'll be a new coach against Aves, or AVS or AFS or whatever the freak their name is, this Saturday when Benfica travels up north to play them.
Yep. Rui Costa did say we're going to have a coach in place by then.
Yeah, you did say.
You did say that. Alfredo,
Yeah.
read some of the comments. I don't know what you're going to do next, but read some of the comments.
I'm trying to post some comments
Oh,
as
okay. Yeah, but
but
the people at home don't know.
yeah, knowing now that Lage is gone, it explains everything about his walk off the field, epitome of a dead man walking. Yeah, that's what we're just talking about. That was Diogo Reis. Andre Quadro says they spent all this money on the window to build out team in Lage's vision, then sack him the second he gets his first loss, second year in a row, where the manager has to play with his predecessor's roster. Yeah, Andre, I mean, I get your point, but also let's not forget this is election year, and I think that Rui Costa felt compelled that he needed to do something because at the end of the day, what he does and what he doesn't do is going to reflect on him, and he felt that keeping Lage was going to put him in a situation more delicate in terms of the elections, right? So that was his whole thing is like I got to make a move now, whether I it's the right move or whether it's the wrong move. At least he's going to go down fighting and trying to do the best for this club. And look, the elections are far from being decided, despite what we've seen on some polls. Earlier this week or just yesterday. But certainly, it's something that Rui Costas can't just sit idly by and not make do something because it's going to reflect poorly on him. I get it. I understand.
Yeah, but he was good. But Alfred, he was going to get criticized regardless,
Regardless,
and that's the thing. That's the thing that annoys me about Benfica fans nowadays is that sometimes we can't see clearly when we don't like somebody. That's it, and I understand he's not done a good job and he needs to go. I get all that, but at the end of the day, because we don't like him now, we can't see things clearly. And at the end of the day, he was going to get criticized regardless. If he just stood pat and then fired this guy, they're going to say, "Oh, all he wants is a yes man." Those that criticized the hiring is, Bruno Lage is a yes man. And now, oh, they built the roster because, based on what Lage wanted. So, I mean, you can't have it both ways.
yeah,
It's either they built the roster because Lage had a say, or Lage is a yes man. So again, if he stood pat, it was a yes man. If he fires the guy, it's his last move, and we all know what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I do think that's why he's bringing in a Mourinho because he's got a huge name in Portugal, and a lot of people, won't fault him for hiring the biggest Portuguese name, as far as coach goes. And he's got that last card to play. The elections is next month and he's gonna try to salvage something here. And I'm not defending him, but I'm just stating the obvious, as you were.
yeah.
I just think that he's gonna get shit
Yeah, so
regardless.
let's get some of the content here. Tonight's episode 567. We'll recap the Santa Clara game, and we'll also talk about this Karabag game, and we'll look ahead to the AVS game that comes up this weekend. But let's start with the Santa Clara game. Benfica lined up with Truben, Araújo, Silva, Otamendi, and Dal, Rios, Barrenechea, Auschnitz and Sheldrup on the wings, and Ivanovic and Pavlidis up front. A game that we felt was going to be an easy game. Stadio Luz, Santa Clara hasn't been doing all that great. Benfica didn't really start all that well, to be honest with you. Very, very just wishy-washy type of game, not creating a lot of chances. Just that game not fluid at all. Um, we get the red card in our favor. Santa Clara goes down to 10 men in the 38th minute. Prestiani comes in at halftime. We scored the go-ahead goal in the 58th minute by Pavlidis. We thought, okay, well, 1-0 against 10 men playing Estadio Luge. We should be able to see this game out. But no, as it turns out, Santa Clara grew and grew and more confident playing with 10. I guess the attitude was, hey, what do we got to lose? Lose by 1 or lose by 5? It's all the same shit. So we might as well give it our all. Constant attacking transitions, counter attacks, and look at the end of the game and or the last half of the second half of Santa Clara was clearly the team that was playing a lot better. They showed a lot more desire. They were going. They were taking risks, and Benfica really couldn't put the game away. And it look, how many times have we seen this? We've seen this movie that the game goes south, and at the end of the game, we're holding on for dear life against the Santa Claras and the Tondelas and the AVSs of the world, holding on for dear life, burning time, hoping that we could see out the game, and it just turned out unlike the game against Alverca, where Alverca had the chance at the end of the game to be able to equalize that game. As it turns out, a mistake by Otamendi. Um, Gave the Santa Clara the tying goal that they needed. And look, you could point fingers all you want at Otamendi, and it is a mistake. It is a poor way to handle that ball. That ball should have been played in a much safer manner, or just kicked to the stands, whatever.
Put the
But
pepas bancadas.
pontapé para Horta. But the thing is that Benfica put themselves in that position that an individual mistake could have cost, and it cost us dearly. So I think that the biggest thing is, look, playing against Santa Clara against 10 men for at least an hour. And you can't see a team out. And I think that a team that plays like this, and a team that's not able to do this, especially in front of their fans, in front of a packed house at Stade de Luge, what chances do we have of being champions if you can't see these games out?
Bro, we
And look,
don't
it's
have a guy the job of that part. We do have a guy, and his name is Luki Bacchio, and he's hurt. But out of the guys all available, we don't have a guy that could go out of the defender and juke him one on one and create and rip through lines. It's just, it's pathetic. You know what I mean? Pathetic is the word that comes to mind all day because every time I think of anything, it's just I don't understand how this roster is built. And I get it, guys. Soccer's changed. Soccer's not the way it was when I grew up, where you did have those types of wingers that went at players. Now it's all about playing in a collective and everybody defending in one and everybody attacking in one. But at the end of the day, when teams are just sitting back as they do against us in the Portuguese league so far here early on in this campeonato, bro, they're just mocking you. You know what I mean? They're baiting you into just dare you to come at us, and we don't have anybody to the world that wants to dance on the ball and nobody's around him. When somebody's near him, he turns it around and goes back the other way. Austin is not that type of player on the right wing. Then we purchased a number 10 for 35 mil. He'll eventually become the most expensive player in the history of Portuguese football, unless somebody else overtakes that claim over the next year or so. And put him at left wing and bring in Barreto and play at 10. I just don't understand. There is no options. You see in the game like today, and I know you're talking about Santa Clara, Alfredo, I'm sorry. But you see in the game like today in the Champions League, Benfica's tied 2-2, and they're looking to bring on João Rego, who's not good enough to play in the Portuguese league. They sent him down to the B team to only now bring him up in the Champions League and he become an option. Bro, this bench, this team is just not well constructed, and it's annoying. It really is. This Ivanovic, bro, who the hell thought this guy is a good player? I can't for the life of me. And I'll be quiet, Alfredo, because I'm just frustrated, bro. So,
No,
you can
I
talk
think,
about Santa Clara. I'm
dude,
just giving
I think that we're all frustrated. I think we really don't need to say anything else about Santa Clara. Certainly, we all saw the debacle that was, and it was kind of an announced end with Santa Clara. We played poorly against Alverca. We played poorly against Estrela Amadora. And it's all, look, you squeeze out these results, but at the end of the day, when you play this poorly, you putting yourself in a position that sooner or later you're going to drop points just because it's not there. It's just not
facts.
there. So yeah, I don't think we need to talk anymore about Santa Clara for sure. Let's talk about today's game. do do
Shit.
I mean, do we
You're
do
just all you're doing. You go from horror movie, swapping out the VHS tape, putting in another horror movie. You're like, all right, fuck,
it's
I'm
a
tired of this one.
it's like a horror movie marathon. Yeah, I mean, look, start of the Champions League, a Champions League that we fought hard to be in, and here we are playing against the team on paper that is the weakest team that we're going to play. That every team is going to take advantage of this team to run up their goal count, and here we are in goal. Trubin, um, Dedic, Silva, Otamendi, and Dal Dedic, who didn't play against Santa Clara because he picked up an injury in international duty. Barrenechea, Rios, and Sudakov in the midfield. Auschnes, Sheldrup on the wings, Pavlidis up front. Started well. First 30 minutes were good. Um, Scored 2 goals, right? I think the team maybe got a little bit too muito confiante, too confident, and thought this was going to be
teams was behind them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just one of those things that things just seemed to be easy. That was going to be an easy night. We were going to run up the score. And then I think that after the 26th minute, I think the team just turned off. Goals in the 6th minute by Barrenechea off of a Sudakov corner. Then in the 16th minute, 2-0 by Pavlidis off a Sudakov through ball through the defense. And then we just shut down. In the 30th minute, um, Karabag um, started playing. And again, it's just like one of those things. I mean, what do we got to lose? Let's just show ourselves. And look, at the end of the day, you look at this game, and clearly Karabag was better for most of the game. But it's also one of those things like, hey, you know, let's go at it. Let's go at it. Let's play our game. Let's take what Benfica gave us, and Benfica certainly gave a lot. I think that Karabag finishes that half thinking that, all right, we got one back. Let's regroup. Let's tighten some things up, make some adjustments in the locker room, and come out and go at it again. And that's what they did. Right in the start of the half, they scored the equalizer, and you guys have often said, I've often heard that if a team could score a goal within those first 15 minutes of the second half and the result is close, that it's a whole different second half. And that's what they did. And for all of the second half, I thought the Qarabag was better, with the exception maybe like 5 minutes that Benfica tried to answer that equalizer. But really, Qarabag was good. They wanted it more. Players that honestly probably look at the whole roster, and you can't see a player that could play in this Benfica 11 probably. But yeah, they wanted more second balls, going in, pressing, running, and look. I think when you put that type of effort against a team that's in a fragile mental state like Benfica was, or Benfica is, I think it was easy. They got their openings, and look at the end of the game. I thought they could have scored the fourth, and they could have probably scored the fifth. But yeah, they scored that winning goal in what, 5 minutes to go in the half, and it was just awful, man. It was a fucking nightmare watching this game. Um, and really seeing how things were developing, how the team couldn't react, couldn't get anything out of this team. Even the guys that were a little bit more veterans couldn't really get the other guys to rally around. It was just a nightmare. And again, watching these games, and like I said, most of you guys have watched these games and see how things go, and see how things progress during a game. And at the end of the game, you're holding on for dear life. And Karabag, and credit to them, right? I think first or second time that a team from Azerbaijan has been in the Champions League. I think it was the first win ever in the history of the Champions League, or new and old format. And I think they deserved it. They deserved it because they just wanted this game more than Benfica. And then when they felt that Benfica was um, hopeless and harmless and against the ropes, they just kept pressing and pressing. And with every minute that went by, they believed in themselves more and more. And I think that the result at the end of the game is a little bit short for them, because I thought they could have scored a couple more goals, especially when Benfica is very open and exposed in the back. But at the end of the day, they won this game naturally, and credit to them. And it's a shame, really, for us Benfiquistas, that we look forward to these European competitions where Benfica shows themselves in the world stage. And again, much like the Basel 5-0 shellacking that we got a few years back at the Rui Vitoria, now we have this result to remember. A 3-2 loss against a team from Azerbaijan that not a lot of people have heard of, uh, after being up to nothing, and it's just inexcusable for me.
The question I have is, what the hell happened to that team that went, what, 7 games without allowing a goal, almost 8 games or something like that? What that team? I mean, we for our lives, and we're talking. I mean, not to be disrespectful to Karabakh, but as you said, on paper they're supposed to be the easiest. I think a lot of people would say they're probably the easiest team in the whole tournament. Um, and I'm guilty of taking them lightly because even when the lineup came out, I said, Bruno Lage is going with Benfica's strongest 11. I mean, shouldn't he maybe made a couple of changes? And boy, I mean, obviously been worse. But credit to them. They didn't give up. They studied us. They watched film on us. They knew that if they kept coming, um, that they could get to us and chip us down. And that's exactly what they did. And it's unfortunate to see Benfica at such a huge stage lay another egg. We've, unfortunately for all of us diehard Benfiquistas, we've all been, we've all grown accustomed to this sad situation because every other year or something like that, there's some type of stupid history that we're setting in this competition when it was the 5-0 against Basel. Worst performance ever by a Portuguese team in the Champions League group phase. And now losing to this team, this is probably, Hugo asked me if it's the worst. Maybe I forgot another one or two. So I'm going to say this is in the top 3 worst losses that started to lose in the Champions League. Um, it's just not good. It was so these people really need to self reflect. The players need to dig down, dig deep, and understand that this is Benfica, and performances like this are unacceptable at the club. I don't care if there's elections or no elections. Um, it's just we've not been good enough, and games like this have happened way too many times, and we have to turn the page. Um, and we have to straighten things out, whether it's Jose Mourinho or your favorite coach of all time, Nelson Verissimo, Alfredo.
No, please, please, no. Um,
He'll be the coach
yeah,
at work tomorrow. He'll be the coach at training, at practice tomorrow. It's gonna be him, right? I mean, what do you think? Maybe Ricard Roche. I don't know, but I would think it's gonna be him at practice tomorrow.
somebody's got to run practice tomorrow. I don't know if Mourinho is ready to do a session. Not and again, everything is still up in the air in terms of who the next coach is, but all indications point to Jose Mourinho. I don't know if Cristiano has any inside information in terms of who will be the next coach,
It's
but certainly,
Mourinho. I told you already. It's
yeah,
Mourinho. Forget it. It's
but
Mourinho, dude.
certainly.
I'm telling you for weeks.
Everything is pointing, and look, my take on it, and from Rui Costa's standpoint, right, is that it needs somebody that's going to be high profile, because it needs to be somebody that's going to be an all in type of hiring, right? Because again, elections in 40 days, needs to make an immediate impact. One of the things that he said about a coach that there's no one yet defined, obviously to the public, he will say that. But he said that we want a coach with a winning mentality. And when you hear that, what do you hear? You hear Mourinho. Mourinho is the guy. He's a winner.
Yeah,
He's a
Mourinho.
winner.
I don't know about that. Mourinho hasn't done a lot of
He
winning
hasn't
lately,
done a lot of
Alfredo.
winning, right? And that was the thing that I want to give my opinion on Mourinho. My own opinion on Mourinho is that he's a guy that's been passed by a lot of coaches. At one point, Mourinho was the guy. And there's no question about it. He won trophies. He's got trophies to show. He's got titles to show. He's got performances to show. He's got great teams. He's got great players that he's developed, that flourished under him. But I just think that when you look at the past 3, 4 clubs that Mourinho was at, okay, you won a Europa League with the Roma, right, Chris? If I'm not mistaken, a couple years back,
It wasn't a Europa
the
League.
conference.
I think it was
Conference,
the Yeah, I think it was the con. He went to the Europa League final with United,
right?
or I think he won the Europa League final with United. Then he won the Taça de Cerveja of European
Yeah.
competitions with Roma.
Yeah, and so that's where I'm at with Mourinho. I think that He's been he's grown old, and he really hasn't reinvented himself to continue to be at the elite or considered elite. Obviously, he's still a name that everybody respects, right? And I think that if you're going to make a hire with the intent of making an impact, is Jose Mourinho. And here's the thing, right? And we often talk about here in terms of Benfica fan base, and you've heard Cristiano say that Benfiquistas sometimes they're not the smartest people in the world, and obviously,
You could say burros. You could say
because
burros. You could say burros.
right,
It's okay.
and the reason for that is that Benfiquistas sometimes they don't think, they go for what the popular thing is, they go for the things that are in style, and they don't a lot of them don't think that Mourinho is a wash up. And I'm not saying that he's a wash up, but he's probably a little bit close to that, right? But a lot of guys they think about Jose Mourinho, fucking Jose Mourinho, Jose Mourinho, Jose Mourinho, Jose Mourinho, and I think that this is palha, just to give to the burros, um, because Rui Costa knows that there's an election on the horizon, and this is the impactful um, coach that he needs to make impression to kind of get some of those um, burros behind him. He wouldn't have been my choice, but it's hard because my choice are probably Jardim, Abel Ferreira. Uh, both of both
Hey,
of them
Flores.
are tied at the Brasileirão. I think Jardim is in second, Abel Ferreira is in third. Abel Ferreira is still in the Libertadores. Um, I'm trying to rack my head for other coach. I like Vitor Freire, but the FPF snapped him up. He's now part of the national team setups. I don't.
Luis Freire. Luis. Isn't it
Is it
Luis?
Luis or Vitor?
Yeah.
Freire. I
I
just know
think
that
it's
it's
Luis.
Freire. Cristiano,
Yeah, I think it's Luis. The guy. Yeah,
if you had a
Luis.
choice in terms of coaches that are available currently, who would have been your guy?
Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, but is he available?
I don't know. He's as a consultant with the Red Bull
Yeah, but
organization.
he's
He's
not
not
available for
coaching.
coaching.
He's a Why not? He's a consultant. Pretty sure he could take a head
Yeah, but
coaching
he
job.
said he wasn't going to coach for a bit. But yeah,
Well, he
Jurgen
said
Klopp.
that, and then he got the job. And then he said that, and then he got the job with Red Bull. So, coaches, man, opportunities. They say what they got to say until opportunity arises. Now, I don't listen. I don't want to get into your choices. I don't like either one of them, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is that Jose Mourinho will be named Benfica head coach very soon here, maybe as early as tomorrow. Obviously, Rui Costa is not going to go into this press conference talking about, oh, we've already picked out a coach because it would have seemed, unfair and disrespectful to Bruno Lage, even though they did have an agreement in place already for a little while. Um, so he'll be named soon. The other thing is, look, there's a couple of things I do like about Mourinho. Obviously, he probably wouldn't have been my first choice because I do think that his resume in recent years has not been the best, and he doesn't exactly play that attractive football that Benfica, that we as Benfiquistas all want Benfica to play. Benfica should always be the team in control, the team in attack. Benfica has the obligation at start to lose to put on a show for everybody, um, and I'm not sure he's that coach today. Now, the positive things, at least in my eyes, I think Jose Mourinho will bring respect back to Benfica in terms of at least the way they're looked upon internationally. People will take them a lot more serious than they did before. I do think that Jose Mourinho over the last few seasons has, at one point or another, seemed like he was kissing up to Benfica. Seemed like this is what he wanted. He's wanted a return to Benfica. A lot of people have said, people that know him have said in private, he's stated multiple times that he would love to return back to Benfica. So I'm hoping that him understanding the magnitude of the job, being home. The good thing is he's a Stubalense, replacing a Stubalense. Us being from Stuhl Alfredo, it's not a bad thing. Obviously, doesn't win any extra points or anything like that, but it's always cool to see somebody from your hometown and stuff like that, being at your club that you follow. And being home, being a half hour away from Seychelles, living in his house, not having to move, maybe he'll take this job as a real challenge, and maybe he'll just adjust a few things. Because it's home. He's home by his family. He doesn't have to move much. Doesn't have to go back to England to the cold, rainy days of England. He could just be in Lisbon. Who the hell? Name me a person with money that wants to move from Portugal. Nobody does. If you got money, Portugal's the spot to be. And so there's some positives. Obviously, the parking the bus and all that other stuff, and some of his attitudes is not that appealing. But at the end of the day, if you're winning games, man, us Benfiquistas have been thirsty for trophies and positive results for so long. I'm not sure any of us are gonna sit here and complain if we're winning games, important games, and we're parking a bus. At the end of the day, it's about results. It might not be pretty, but it's about results. And if we're gonna get results in the Champions League and whatnot, and bring the Campeonato back to start to lose, I think at the end of the day, we'll all say, look, it's not pretty, but we'll take the results and we'll just move on from here.
Yeah. I want to highlight a comment here by Jason Gaidal, if I could find. And he says, given the type of players they just got, it looks like a Mourinho type roster. Cristiano, what do you think? Do you think this roster is going to fit Jose Mourinho's style?
I don't know, bro. I don't know, Jason. Where's this Cristiano Ronaldo? Where's this DDA Drogba?
Yeah.
we don't. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, type roster. I don't know. I think Barriga Chea is slow. He's seen games like today. He's slow. Really good with the ball. I'm not sure what Mourinho is gonna do with him. To be honest with you, I do think Rios is a Mourinho type player. That's for a fact. Otamendi we know is a Mourinho type player. Everybody else, man, they don't think Monterreva, bro. They're gonna have to put up or shut up. I think Mourinho is gonna make those guys work hard. I think Alsness might be a useful player for him. I just don't think it's at the wing. And the problem is with Rigachea and Rios, there's no room to play him in the midfield unless they switch to a 4-3-3, which he probably will. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, Mourinho's had a lot of success, but he's always had the decos of this world, right? Benfica doesn't have a deco. Then he moved over to Chelsea. Eventually got DDA Drogba. We don't have a Drogba. Then obviously Ronaldo. Just we don't have that game breaker. Hopefully, Luke Bacchio will be it. Obviously, I'm not comparing him to any of the guys I just mentioned before, but at Benfica today, I do believe he will become Benfica's most influential player going forward. It's a pity that he's hurt. I don't understand what the hell kind of negotiations Benfica be doing buying players that are injured, but I hope that he returns soon, and I think he could be very useful in the Mourinho system. But we'll see. Obviously he's got tremendous players, and that's not the case right now at Benfica. So things will be interesting. But at the same time, it is the Portuguese league, and playing against the Santa Claras of this world and the Rocas and the Tondelas. I mean, all you got to do is put an effort, and that should be good enough. Unfortunately, these guys haven't put in full shifts.
Yeah. Carlos Zamar says, I personally think Mourinho is perfect for the Liga. Yeah. Super pragmatic.
Yeah,
He'll
it's
play
gonna be
super
it's
aggressive
gonna be a
against
circus.
minnows and frustrate the shit out of superior teams. Yeah, I mean, I think that's spot on. And look, maybe Mourinho takes us to the window, and then he picks up a couple players that he feels are going to add to this team, to his style, and I mean, before he went to Porto, um, or when he went to Porto, because if you guys recall, and it was a while ago, some of you guys may not recall, but when he went to Porto, um, he said with a couple more players, um, this team is going to be the champion next season. And look, he went out and got what Derlei and Nun Valent, if I'm not mistaken, and he ended up
Uh
making
huh.
that team the Porto team that it was, right? And
Well, it also helped that they were corrupt. I mean, let's not
for
forget those
this,
teams. What do you mean full? It's a fact. Those teams, remember, they won the Campeonato by like 15 points, and they went to court and whatnot, and they lost, I believe, six or 8 points. So that was under Mourinho. Let's not forget. A lot of people forget that there was a lot of stuff going on at the time, and everybody just sees the trophies and the Europa League victory and the Champions League victory, and rightfully so. Credit to that. But in the Portuguese Campeonato, they they were found guilty in court and they were deducted points. So let's not forget that as well. But obviously, they were still going to be champs regardless. But it's still stuff that went on that that was not very pleasant. That's it. Just you got to mention
Yeah.
some of those things sometimes. Can't just
Yeah,
sweep them
Fabs is
under the
saying
rug.
Mourinho could attract the caliber of players that would normally be out of the reach in the transfer windows. Cristiano, do you think that Mourinho still has that type of clout of getting
I don't know. I was
players?
reading. I don't even know. I'm reading this guy's question. Are you guys
Who is
Portuguese?
this?
Uh, does it
Quagmire
matter?
from Quarterbag?
But yeah, but yeah, but we're
Yes.
Portuguese. Yes, very happily Portuguese. What was the question you had, Alfredo?
Forgot.
You Mourinho. You was talking
No,
about the transfer
Fabs
list. I
was
forget what it was.
saying that Mourinho himself could attract a caliber of players that would normally be out of the reach in the transfer windows. And my question to you is, do
I agree.
you agree?
I agree. Accountants. Oh my God, if he can't spend no money, you know what I mean? You think Mourinho's gonna give a shit about the accountability of the team? The accounts, I should say. They don't care. Yeah, but there are players. Mourinho's still one of those players that one of those coaches, I should say, that this guy's saying I'm Portuguese too. So I mean, yeah,
Good man,
Cristiano and
welcome.
Alfredo. I mean, if that's not as Portuguese as they come, I don't know what to tell you. Um, yeah, I think Mourinho's still one of those coaches that players want to play for, bro. And it's kind of like a destination play. He's a destination coach. I do
Yeah,
think some guys will come, but at the end of the day, money talks, my friends. You know what
yeah.
I'm
He doesn't
saying?
have
So
obviously he doesn't have the clout that he used to have before, in my opinion, right? But as
yeah, well,
Cristiano
I don't think it's
mentioned,
the cloud, Alfredo. I think it's the the checkbooks.
but here's the thing between all right, let's say a player is asking for 3 million, or he's asking for 3 million, we give him 2 million, and we got Mourinho as the coach, right? A player might say, "Hey, I'll take 1 million more, and I'd love to play under Mourinho."
A
That
million
might
less.
be
A
like a
million
little bit of
less. A
be a
million
little.
less. You
Yeah, a
mean not a
million
million
less.
more?
I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a
okay.
fraction, right? A fraction. And some guys may say, "Hey, I'd love to play under Mourinho. I heard he's a great coach. He's won a lot of
Yeah, yeah.
trophies. He's a guy that's internationally known. He's a guy that has a very strong personality. I want to play under him." Yeah, that could be a little bit of a factor of why guys would like to come to Benfica. Obviously, Benfica has spent more money in this transfer window than in past transfer windows. And certainly I know that Mourinho knows that he's not doesn't have Abramovich as a boss that has just the purse strings open and is ready to spend. But certainly, I think that we're willing to spend money if that means that the team is going to win trophies, and if we have confidence in Jose Mourinho.
And look, let's speak facts here, guys. Obviously, everything you're stating on all your worries and everything that you're mentioning regarding your doubts and regarding about Jose Mourinho, they are indeed factual. But let's not also leave out the fact that every time he leaves the club, players cry for him, and players will tell you they absolutely love playing for him, even when they didn't get results. Obviously, the guys that he doesn't play can't stand them, but for the most part, the regulars, right, the main guys on his teams, they all love him. I mean, from Roma to you name it, whatever team he's left, you don't see players bad mouthing him. So he might not be pleasant to us, the fans. He might not be pleasant to the media, and that's why the media turns on him because obviously, as you know, media is whatever bunch of spoiled wankers. If you don't give them what they want, they're gonna shit talk you. He might not be pleasant to the ownership in the front office when he doesn't get what he wants. But the players sure as hell love playing for him, and that's what matters here. It's not what I think of him as a player, or as a coach, I should say. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Not what Alfredo thinks. It's about what the players think. And I think as long as the players are willing to play for him, he's always going to get jobs. Now, Benfica will get some players that probably wouldn't consider coming to Benfica, but we'll see what happens. I mean, these new guys that are running for president are talking about a totally different Benfica and just, say Shal and youngsters. They're not talking about investing in the transfer window. So
But
We'll see
that
what happens. I mean, it's
I
still a
also
long
think that'd
time.
be stupid to change something if there's a winning formula there, um, that they would change it. I think here's the other thing that I'll offer up in terms of my opinion. Right, Jose Mourinho hasn't coached in Portugal for many years. Right, and in Portugal there's a different culture. There's the culture that Mourinho knows. There's the culture that Mourinho is familiar with. He's had these clashes with these foreign owners and these foreign board of directors and so on and so forth. I think maybe his approach to a board of directors that share the same culture as him may be a different culture. I also think that Mourinho can't be stupid to think that he's going to come to Benfica and Benfica is going to have a blank checkbook for him to spend, right?
I don't think he is, Alfredo. What's his name? Mario Branco was the guy that brought him to Fenerbahce, I believe, was the general manager, sporting director. He is now the sporting director of Benfica. So obviously there's, familiarity there. And I don't think Mourinho is gonna be, the players, Alfredo. I think many things stubborn and whatnot, but I don't think he's out of his mind. You know what I mean? I think ele percebe muito bem a situação que ele está a meter.
Look, I think this is a situation that Jose Mourinho, and look, we all know Jose Mourinho. Mourinho is not stupid, right? I think this is a situation where Mourinho has now um, gone from club to club. He knows that he hasn't had the success that he's had in the past, right? It seems that, I mean, Fenerbahce. Who would have thought that Mourinho would ever coach Fenerbahce? I mean, at some point, this was beyond Mourinho. Mourinho wouldn't even given a second thought or a third thought or a fourth thought to coaching Fenerbahce, right? And I think this presents an opportunity to Mourinho, that Mourinho understands the history of Benfica. Mourinho understands the reputation that Benfica has abroad and nationally, obviously. And I think this is probably one of the biggest challenges for Mourinho at this juncture in his career. I think that he still deep down inside he feels that he still has a lot to prove, because the general opinion, and you've heard us say here, or you've heard me say here, is that Mourinho is he's the past. He's not part of the echelon right now, a coaching echelon. So deep down inside, he feels that he still has a lot to prove. Um, he's probably looking at this as probably one of the biggest challenges of his career, because of the context, because of the magnitude of the club, and because of he knows that he's lost power within the coaching community, and he's no longer looked at as the chosen one, or the special one, I should say. So it's interesting. There's a couple narratives here going through my head in terms of what Mourinho is at.
I I think to summarize, to put it in, you elaborate on it. To put it in short, Alfredo, I think this is the last big club job he's gonna get.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
this is it.
after
I
this,
don't think he might get a Nottingham Forest or some shit like that. He ain't getting no big time club after this. Because I think after this he might just go,
yeah,
Portugal national team's always been a rumor and whatever. But I don't think club team. I think this is his last chance um at a big
yeah,
European club. So I look, there's that hope in me,
yeah,
man, that he will change some things. I think the decision's been made. I think all of us could come on here on the chat and on podcasts and bitch and whine and complain about it, whether he's our first choice, our second choice, our eighth choice, it doesn't matter. I think the decision's been made. As I told you guys weeks ago, there was an agreement, there's been an agreement in place for weeks. I think that decision's been made. It's gonna go on, whether we like it or not. And whether, I'm satisfied with it, it's irrelevant because at the end of the day, I'm always gonna you know, root for Benfica to win, and I'm never going to root for a coach to be a failure because then the club is a
yeah,
failure. It's totally
absolutely.
different than rooting against a
Yeah.
player than it is
Yeah,
rooting against the coach.
like I
You know what I
said,
mean? So
I feel this is a challenge, and our friend from the UK that was wondering whether we're Portuguese or not. Mourinho is the type of manager to take a small club with bad players and make them competitive. When he was given a team with superstars, he didn't do that well. Benfica has superstars that needed a captain. So yeah, I mean, there's some validity to to that point from Quagmire at 22. But like I said, I think that that this is probably Mourinho kind of sees this as a big challenge for him to make a name for himself, especially a team in Portugal, but also not any team in Portugal. We're talking about Benfica, the biggest club in Portugal, and a club with European pedigree, right? I think that Mourinho is looking at this opportunity as an opportunity to put himself on the map again, especially if he could elevate a team like Benfica, which we would all hope for, to a level where we're competitive in Europe as a result of his coaching. Um, and that's kind of like how I'm choosing to see this. And I'm hoping, as all Benfiquistas are hoping, that if Mourinho is in fact appointed, which everything looks like he will be appointed as Benfica's next coach, um, that he really puts out his best effort and he's able to prove again to the world that he still has some coaching chops. And I would love to see that. I would love for him to really regen this Benfica team because, and you've heard us say here all the time, Benfica has lost that winning mentality, that winning culture that we used to have. And Cristiano talks about this all the time, that we settle for mediocrity, that we're okay with mediocrity.
Uh huh.
And I think as Benfica fans, and especially me and
Uh
Cristiano
huh.
and a lot of you guys that are on the chat that have been following Benfica for quite a few years and saw the mighty teams of the 80s and even the 90s and even the teams under JJ. I'd love to see Benfica again with that winning culture, with that winning mentality, with that presence that you go into any field and you're not afraid to play any team, regardless of the talent that you have compared to other teams. And I think that Mourinho is a coach that is able to do this because he understands the history of the club and he understands how big and important the club is for his socios and his fans. So I don't know. Would it be my first choice? Probably not. But understanding the context,
I mean, Alfredo, I love you. I love you, but you like would it be my your first choice is Leonardo Jardim, bro. You don't get a choice.
for this, I don't get a choice.
You don't get a choice. No, not Leonardo Jardim, bro. That's what you're gonna waste your choice on.
Yeah,
Come on, bro. At least I said Jurgen
I,
Klopp. I mean, that's a
yeah. You're
choice. But Leonardo
Jurgen Klopp and
Jardim, come on, bro. Come on.
one of the candidates to Benfica's election, Cristóvão, has said that his coach will be Jurgen Klopp.
That's my
Has said that
guy.
his coach will be Jurgen Klopp
Said we're
because apparently Jurgen Klopp said that he had a dream of coaching Benfica, that he'd love to coach Benfica one day.
he did. He said he loved. He didn't say a dream of coaching Benfica. He said that he loves projects like Benfica. Praise Benfica very, very highly. But yeah, I mean, realistic. What's the worst that can happen? He says no, and then I go to my second choice. But I do. But again, Mourinho's a done deal. Forget Klopp. We all love Klopp, but Klopp's not coming. He's getting paid a
Yeah,
lot of money to be a consultant over there with Red Bull. And we'll just wait for next time. But right now, it's
yeah.
Mourinho, guys. Forget about the rest.
Yeah, let me just take this opportunity since we're coming up on the hour mark and say goodbye to our Prima Media friends. If you want to continue listening to the podcast, our podcast is available in audio format and also video format. You can follow the rest. Thank you for listening. All right. Um, yeah, so I think that's the biggest topic of the hour, but I think we're just hours away from learning. I mean, Record is already reporting that there was a pre-agreement, that just the thing, everything is by details. So I think it's just a matter of time for everything to be confirmed. So Jose Mourinho is most likely going to be Benfica's next coach. And I think this is a move that Rui Costa needed to make because, like you said, elections.
Listen, I
So,
just want to, Alfredo, don't forget to send the check to Carlos Amaro. I hope it's the same address, Carlos. Send you the check. Thank you for the nice comment. Uh, Greatly appreciated. And Alfredo, make sure there's funds in the bank account. All right.
That's right. Um, all right. Just shifting gears, and I think there was a topic that we can get around to in terms of who the next coach is. But I think that as at this point, there's not much speculating that we need to do. I think it's very obvious that everyone knows who the next coach will be, especially after the Fenerbahce pre and post conference. This is where he praised Benfica. There was a lot of nice words that he said about Benfica, and it's almost like he was kind of putting himself in a position to be considered. Obviously, he was at the Dragão and he received the standing ovation this past weekend. So it is what it is, and make of it what you will.
Bro, he's got a history at the
That's
club.
right.
He's always gonna be. I mean, you can't erase it. It is
Yeah.
what it is. You can't erase that
So
history.
just shifting gears next.
And shit,
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, Alfred. I was gonna say, and shit. I hope we have the same history where we lift in the Orelhas. You know what I mean? That's. I mean, look, I get we don't like them. They don't like us. And I'm not here to pat anybody on the back, but at the end of the day, that is tremendous accomplishment. Winning the Champions League with a Portuguese team. I mean, I'd be upset if Porto didn't recognize their own. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't have to like them, but respect. And so he's not going to turn his back. And now hopefully he comes to Benfica and starts a whole new history and marks his chapter at Benfica. And we're all here
Yeah.
celebrating next year and
Yeah.
years to come.
Next up, AVS. Benfica will travel up to Vila das Aves to play AVS on Saturday, 1 p.m. local. This is Portugal time. AVS has only 1 point out of the previous 5 games that they've played. They just fired Jose Mota, which was their coach. So a game where Benfica will supposedly have a new coach on the bench, and I hope it's not Verissimo, obviously, that it's the new coach, But yeah, a game that on paper should be an easy game. And I'll just I'll just present this to you. Obviously, whenever there's new coaches coming, um, there's motivation by players. Players feel that it's a breath of fresh air. There's also guys that have felt that there's um, a predetermined or prejudged or an idea based on what roles they have on a team. So with a new coach, they feel that they get a blank slate that they can prove themselves, and certainly guys are going to want to prove themselves to Jose Mourinho because they know that Jose Mourinho is not a yes man. They know that Jose Mourinho just won't play guys just because they have history with the club. Jose Mourinho will play the guys that he feels are best suited for the team, that are playing, that are in their best form, and that's just who Jose Mourinho is. So from a player standpoint, there's a lot of players that they feel that have a new lease on life with a new coach coming in. So I hope that has an immediate impact on this team because
As long as they're Mendes clients, they're fine. No, I'm joking. I'm
no,
joking.
because as we saw this today against Karabakh, uh, there seemed to be guys going through the motions. About a lot of lapses of concentration. I thought that Tony Silva had a horrible game. I thought that there was guys that were well below what they're capable of in this game, and I think that Jose Mourinho is not going to tolerate that. That's something, and that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of guys want Sergio Conceição, because Sergio Conceição will make these guys eat grass. Um, but yeah, if I have to choose between Sergio Conceição and Mourinho, it's Mourinho all day for me. So, but yeah, an easy game on paper, but certainly understanding the current situation with Benfica. I mean, even Lage said that the players are feeling some of the stuff that's going on around the team that doesn't necessarily pertain to the four lines.
Well,
Go ahead.
well, now I gotta let the cat out the bag. Could I, Alfredo, you allow
Yeah,
me
go ahead.
to divulge something on the pod? Now that Bruno Lage has been fired, I can finally say I was a personal friend of Bruno Lage.
You were, you still are,
I
no?
like the guy. I still, well, you know what I'm saying. I'm a personal friend of Bruno Lage. Really good friend of his family, his cousins. I got to meet with him plenty of times. Liked him as a person. Obviously, had his limitations as a coach. He did his best. He tried to win games. Obviously, couldn't get the team to the next level. Should be respected for that. He's a guy that gave his time to the club, gave his best to the club. He never went out there trying to lose a game intentionally. Obviously, just couldn't get the team to respond to what his intentions were, and couldn't get the team to play to the best of their ability. And here he goes, and I wish him the best of luck.
Yep.
Um,
Just not at
I don't think
Benfica.
he'll be back at the club anytime soon. Just just won't be at
Yeah.
Benfica. So,
I just
Mister, thank you for everything you've
yeah,
done.
I see and look, I think that if you guys watched Lage's post game presser, right? And one of the things that he said is that I'll never be the problem for Benfica. And he said the day that Benfica decides to let me go, that is the day that that I stop getting paid by Benfica. So certainly, he's had a history with Benfica. He's a Benfiquista. Um, and I think it was very noble of him to say that I'll never be the problem for Benfica. If the coach feels that um, I'm no longer doing my job, if my message is no longer passing to the players, if the players are no longer with me, then I'll accept whatever decision the coach, the president makes. So that I thought it was very it's very noble of him to say that, and I wish him all the luck. I really I see Lage's future being with the Braga, the Worlds of Guimarães or one of those teams in the league. I don't think that Lage is going to get many more high profile jobs, if you will. Um, I think that his history just speaks for himself. Good guy, I'm sure. I don't know him personally, but Chris does. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, Chris, what else we got, man?
What else we got? I don't know, man. Just dejected. That's all.
Yeah,
Just tired of this. As you know, Alfredo, I've come on here for many, many years talking about how we get mocked and stuff like that. And it seems like Benfica always picks the wrong time to shit the bed. It's one thing shitting the bed against Santa Clara. Nobody around the world pays attention. But in the Champions League, dude, when apparently a friend of mine was listening to the Real Madrid game on Sirius XM, and the commentators thought, "Oh, tremendous result! Benfica lose." Like, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like that's the only time people are paying attention to us is when we're shitting the bed, and in European competition. And it gets tiring. We did have a good run last year. We do have a couple of good runs once in a while, but it's never at the consistent basis. Never playing teams the way we think it should be playing. You see other teams throughout European football, the Ajaxes of the world, Leverkusens of the world, making runs in Europa League finals. Same thing with Atalanta. These types of clubs, man, putting results up in European competitions. And Benfica, one reason or another, we just can't get our shit together, and it's like we're foot. We don't take advantage of playing against 10 men and whatnot, and it's very disheartening.
yeah,
It's very disheartening, and hopefully things will get
yeah,
straightened out here. This is a huge, it's a huge 4 or 5 weeks coming up.
yeah.
Whether you're a fan, regardless of who you're a fan of, it's
Yeah,
a huge 4 or 5 weeks coming up.
you got Champions League, you got Porto on the horizon, not too far, and I think that the way Sporting and Porto have started this league, you kind of can't afford to lose momentum. And I know that it's early; you could lose some points here and there, but you can't lose the momentum. You got to pick up the momentum now, and hopefully, this is be a trampoline to getting into a better cycle, to pick up
Yo,
momentum, to get some
relax there,
consistency.
Enzo. Sound like Enzo, trampoline. Relax there. I'm having flashbacks.
That's a good call out. That's a good Enzo and 15 other guys.
No, but he's the one that most famously said, "Un trampolín para un equipo de Europa." Like, yo, simmer down.
Yeah.
But
But it's just that's what it is. I just hope that Benfica is able to pick up momentum, to really take advantage of the buys that they had this year, which I still firmly believe on everyone that they've acquired, Ivanovic included, not Cristiano, obviously. But we'll see. I just hope that it's the right move and everything that we hope for in terms of the challenges and, like I mentioned, the personal challenges for Mourinho and how he's going to embrace this project and what he's going to make of it. I think that at the end of the day, I hope that it benefits all Benfiquistas in terms of titles, in terms of consistency, in terms of getting back your reputation that's been tarnished by Basel and Quaragbag. So look, I'm just we're all tired, man. We're all tired of this season after season, this depressing shit. And we really want Benfica to make us smile on the weekends and midweek for sure. I want to be able to have a smile on my face because Benfica won, not some depressed frown. Um,
And,
you
and
know,
look, Alfredo, we all know shit's gonna go south eventually with Mourinho because it does with every coach, right? Coaches get hired to get fired. All right. We just hope that he has a good run in between.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. So thank you all you guys that joined us, man. I think it's this is the most people that were on a chat. Chat was alive, that were watching us. I really appreciate you guys checking us out. I hope that we were able to provide a little bit of therapy, some little bit of insight. And yeah, man. I think that you guys all share our sentiments and our emotions in terms of we're tired, man. We're tired of this bullshit. Let's just turn this around, man. Let make Benfica great again. And Jose Mourinho is just the guy to do that. I hope. Take care, everyone. See you next week.